Hey YouTubers, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to do a response video to nuwavegurl's thread. She had some really good questions, definitely made me think quite a bit, but I think I came up with a few answers and kind of made a little bit of a cheat sheet this time, so I'm going to be kind of just walking around the room and answering these questions. So, as always, let me know what you guys think. First question was 5 albums known for one song, but in actuality, the entire album is a very great album. So the ones I picked out off the top of my head for that was Dido's Life for Rent. This album was, I think, well known for the song White Flag, but there are a lot of other good tracks on here that are all kind of written and sang in that smooth Dido type mode, if you will. But White Flag was the hit, but Stoned, Life for Rent, Married in India, See You When You're 40, Don't Leave Home, man, the entire first side is absolutely great. And then on the second side, there's even a hidden track 6. It's not listed on the track listing here. It's also a really good song too. So that's definitely an album that didn't get credit from top to bottom like it deserved. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you've probably heard me talk about this album before. Twisted Sister Stay Hungry, which in my opinion, song for song, one of the best albums ever. Not in the sense that I would put it on the top 100 albums of all time, you know, as far as music, creativity, and blah, 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 but just for me, an album, when I think about every single song just being a great song to me, this is definitely an album that goes in that category. This is one that I played the heck out of, as I mentioned before, when I was younger. But this album was well known for the song We're Not Gonna Take It, one of the first really good rebellion songs of the mid-'80s. And also, I think I Wanna Rock. I mean, that song did appear in a couple of movies here and there, but really the entire track list, Stay Hungry, We're Not Gonna Take It, Burn in Hell, Captain Howdy, Street Justice, I Wanna Rock, The Price, Don't Let Me Down, The Beast, SMF, every single one of those songs is a great song to me. So, I love that album. Another one here is Sammy Hagar's VOA. This album obviously was definitely known for the song I Can't Drive 55. But other songs like Swept Away, Rock Is in My Blood, Two Sides of Love, Dick in the Dirt, VOA, those were really, really good tracks as well. So they definitely got overshadowed by the success of I Can't Drive 55. The next one here, I'm kind of cheating a little bit because Billy Ocean wasn't a one-hit wonder, and actually on this track, or this album, he had really 2.5 hits. Caribbean Queen and Loverboy were 2 huge hits, and then Suddenly was also kind of that's why I said half a hit, that was kind of a hit for him as well. But I pulled this one out because other songs like Mystery Lady and Syncopation, Lucky Man, I mean, those were some really good tracks that in some cases I think were even better than some of the hits that he had throughout the mid to late 80s. And then the last, well, actually there's 2 more I want to pull out. This is another very good album that is better than the 1 or 2 hits that came off of it. Jimmy Cliff's Power and Glory. And I don't know if people even really know the quote-unquote hits that came off of this. I mean, We All Are One and Reggae Night are 2 songs off of this album that were in pretty regular video rotation back in the mid-'80s. So they were, I guess, kind of hits for him. But the rest of this album, you know, Sunshine in the Music, Piece of the Pie, American Dream, Roots Woman, Love Solution, Power and Glory, Journey. I mean, just really, really good, almost like, not popish reggae, but, well, some is popish, but some is also kind of, you know, down-home roots type reggae as well. So just from back to front, absolute great album. One other that I want to pull out, I have to go to my CDs here because I don't think they have it on vinyl, is Blues Travelers Runaround 5 EP, 5-track EP I should say. This was the single that they put out for Runaround, but it has a number of tracks on here that were not on the 4 album. 2 of which are Regarding Stephen and Escaping, and I think Regarding Stephen is probably the best song that Blues Traveler ever wrote. as far as I'm concerned. That is just their best song ever. So between that and the other great songs on here, I think, Runaround was the best known, but the rest of these tracks never caught any traction, and I think it's some of their best music ever on that. So I had to pull that one out. And then the last two, I'll kind of put in as honorable mentions because I'm at my 5 mark. And I know you guys are going to give me crap about this, but if I can pull out Kenny G in a video, I guess I have the courage to pull out Enya. But this is a Day Without Rain. And again, we can kind of laugh about that, and that this CD was well known for Only Time, but really from front to back, all 11 tracks on this CD are very, very good. So that's one I think that got overshadowed by one song. And UB40's Labor of Love. I actually have this on vinyl too, I didn't pull it out. But the song Here I Am was the one I think that was most well known off of this album. But Tears from My Eyes, Grooving, Kingston Town, Wedding Day, Wear You to the Ball, Homely Girl, those were all really, really good tracks as well. So those will be my, I guess that's what, 5 and 2 honorable mentions or something for 5 albums known for one song. But the rest of the album is good. Next question was 5 bands I wish I was in and songs I wish I would have written by those bands. That's a fairly easy one. First one would be the Kings themselves, Metallica. Would definitely like to be in Metallica, and I think as far as positions, I wouldn't mind taking Kirk Hammett's place. I love the entire band. I love all the guys. I think James is a little too controlling and a bit of a hothead sometimes. Lars thinks he's a little too smart. He's always trying to get so deep on everything. They're always butting heads, but Kurt always seemed like the guy that's just kind of, chilling back, enjoying the ride, enjoying the music, not letting everything in life get to him. So he's the guy I'd want to be in Metallica. As far as songs I wish I would have written, of course, Master of Puppets. How can you not? And then my 2 honorable mentions, of course, would be One and Enter Sandman. So that's one band I wish I was in. Second band I wish I was in. Swoop around over here. And Joseph, you're going to love this. The Beatles. Probably like that number 2 on my list. See, I don't hate them as much as you think I do. But the Beatles is definitely a band I wouldn't mind being in. And as far as songs I wish I would have written, I would love to have written I Want to Hold Your Hand. I think it's just an absolute classic song that really sums up that time. And as far as who I'd want to be in the Beatles, I think I'd want to be Paul McCartney. He'd be the one I would want to jump into his shoes. So the Beatles would be 2. Third one would be the Rolling Stones. And song I wish I would have written, of course there's a ton to pick from the Stones, but I'm going to go with Give Me Shelter. I love that song. And of course, I want to be Mick Jagger in the band, writing that song. Fourth band I want to be, or band I like to be in, come on, Led Zeppelin. How could you not? Song I wish I would have written, I didn't want to go too cheesy because even right now, it's not the number 1 song that I would put on to listen to Led Zeppelin, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind being recognized in history for writing the song Stairway to Heaven. So I'm going to say that's the song I wish I would have written, even though it's not the song I listen to the most by Led Zeppelin. One of my really favorite songs, by the way, while we're talking about that, is on this album. Listen to the Wanton song on this. Absolute great track on that album. But I'll just throw that out there in case someone's not familiar with it. So that was 4. And the 5th band that I would want to be in would be U2. And it definitely wouldn't be the worst step in your career to be Bono in a rock group, so I wouldn't mind being Bono. And the song that I wish I would have written would be One. That's the song I wish I would have written by U2. So those are my 5. I did have 2 honorable mentions there as well, and I'll just kind of say, Michael Jackson, back when he wrote Billie Jean and the whole Thriller thing, that wouldn't have been a bad place to be. And then also Hendrix when he wrote Voodoo Child. So those are 2 honorable mentions there. All right, next question was, if I was a music teacher, what decade would I start teaching? I would say I would start with, if decade just means 10 years and not, 60 to 69, that type of thing, I would choose 1965 to 1975. I just think within that range, you're going to get a lot of everything you need to understand well-rounded music for the rest of your life. There's maybe a few bands you kind of miss out on the fringe edges there, but for the most part, you're not going to screw up by completely understanding that 10-year time period as far as music goes. Question number 4, I believe. Bands or artists that continue to have success even after tragedy. Okay, we're going back to the same spot again. Metallica. Right here you had Metallica with Burton, with Cliff. Cliff dies. Obviously that's a tragedy, but they come back with, Justice for All. They come back with Black Album, Load, Reload, Garage Inc., and then, not to mention back in there when James gets burned up in concert, but then, he goes to rehab for a year and all that bad stuff happens. They come back with Saying Anger, then Death Magnetic. So that's a band that's kept trucking through some pretty big tragedies and still, to me, probably one of the biggest bands in the world. Who else? Oh, well, actually I have to stay over here for that. Ozzy Osbourne. He got kicked out of Sabbath. Come on, that in of itself could destroy a lot of people. He got kicked out of Sabbath. But then on top of that, when, this man, that tragedy occurred, he could have easily folded, but, he stayed the king and has kept going. So, definitely have to give some props to Ozzy on that. There's an interesting story, too, that I want to share sometime about that plane crash and the people involved, which I just heard a little while ago and really kind of creeped me out, but that's another story. Third on my list, Temptations. With Paul Williams' death and David Ruffin leaving the band and all that stuff, they could have easily folded, but they kept going really strong and became the icons that they are. Next one I would say, bands that took on tragedy and held strong, Def Leppard. Without even talking about this record, you always have to keep in mind, this is the record that came after Rick lost his arm. So that's a heck of a tragedy for a drummer to lose his arm, and I think Hysteria can be classified as a success without question. And then the very last one, this may not be as serious as some other bands you can pull out, but Joan Jett, after the Runaways broke up, her being a female rock star, especially in the time period that she was in, that wasn't the easiest thing for her to keep on trucking. Did I just say keep on trucking? Sound like something off of I Love You, Man. But, she kept on going, and she did her first solo album. I think like 26 record labels rejected it, and she just put it out on her own and kept doing her thing, and, to this day, she's Joan Jett. So I think through a lot of things that came her way, she held strong through that as well. So very last question was albums I've played in their entirety in the last week. There's really only been 2. Warpaint, The Fool. I listened to this actually last night and this morning. I took the entire thing. And then Bo Diddley Twister. Everything else I've just been kind of bouncing around and playing CDs, iTunes, records, bits and pieces. But those are really the only 2 I could think of. So anyway, as always, YouTubers, thanks for watching. And let me know if you have any questions or insights on anything that I mentioned. And we'll talk to you soon.